Let's start with a short film history lesson. In the past there was a flash war that destroyed most of the human civilization in 1 hour. Survivors decided to build moving cities and fight for resources in them. Those who won grew in strength. The great predator cities were born, based on the philosophy of urban Darwinism. And one of them has just been seen on the horizon, by a woman who lives in a small market town and doesn't warn the people of this great threat, because, as we will later see, she wants to get to London. Eventually, someone notices the problem, and the town splits into small vehicles, fleeing in all directions. Smart strategy, targets multiply and the predator can only go one way. Of course, for the sake of the plot, a key vehicle has trouble starting its engine, but they manage to start at the last second. Despite the fact that London is traveling at an incredibly high speed, the small car moves considerable distance away in a few moments, suggesting a smooth escape. Especially as they lost some ballast. But our hero has to get there somehow, so problems in the terrain make escape impossible. In the end, they decide to fire harpoons, and the mining town is absorbed. They show us this huge beautiful gate, adapted perfectly to eat much larger prey, so of course, they will never open it again in this film. We learn that they will convert the prey into fuel, and it will last them for around a week. Let's have a look at this London. It's a huge city with a mass like a small mountain, and it moves at high speeds. The engine of such a monster should eat much more than a small town a week. It probably burns most of the stuff for chemical energy, but with iron, it can't be done. And the prey is mostly made of iron. If this film wants to push some scientific crap on me, with energy extraction from atomic nuclei, I want to point out that iron is literally the most stable element, and you always have to add energy to fuse it to something heavier or split it to something lighter. Simply put, most of the mass of the victim structure is useless in an energy sense. A big city like this could at least use some solar power, then they wouldn't need to hunt useless small vehicles. But most of the machines in this movie is powered by an unspecified magic. Or fossil fuels, that by some miracle were not consumed by an extinct civilization 1000 years ago. Now we see a second protagonist, who works on London at the museum. He mainly works with artifacts and technology of the fallen civilization. The guy brags about his discoveries and his skills. This genius had to make a crank power generator, which means that by some miracle the civilization of the future hasn't discovered electricity yet. So with what are they powering all this stuff in the city? Steam? Or what? Doesn't matter. We see beautiful footage of an old quantum superweapon that was a reason for annihilation of humanity in the 21st century. And then he shows his secret stash of incredibly powerful old military technology, because scriptwriters ran out of ideas how to conveniently move the plot forward. Now we go to the lower floors, where the captured city will be dismembered to recover as many valuable items as possible. At the border crossing we have a short speech about prisoners getting jobs and a new place to sleep. If this is the case, then how is London able to sustain such a huge and irregular influx of people? Surely this is just propaganda, and they will be turned into food or something. All of the main characters meet together, and we have a first assassination attempt. Why do people always stab the stomach? Isn't it better to cut something on the neck, or just the femoral artery? Whatever. Tom runs after the assassin, where they jump far too much distance. Besides, the platform between shots changes speed. Estimating its speed, it should be here when Tom jumps. After a chase scene in a collapsing city in a bizarre way, they meet again at the exhaust pipe. Heather falls, but reveals to Tom that she wanted revenge on her mother's killer. Now Tom knows too much, so Valentine pushes him off. Why the fuck he came here injured and was faster than the police, I won't ask. Then the father argues with the mayor that they left Britain for no reason, and a bit more about Valentine's secret revolutionary energy project, which I'm sure isn't a weapon of mass destruction invented by the old people, because Valentine wasn't interested in old cells, just from that weapon. Interesting, because he just delivered exactly that cell for his suspiciously looking device. It turns out they don't have enough ancient technology to stabilize the isotopes, whatever that means. They used just enough scientific terminology to get me interested, but not enough to be able to deduce what it is, because the weapon or quantum energy generator doesn't say much about how it works. It's just movie magic, that's all. Apparently a rogue bounty hunter has arrived at the prison, and he's just shouting Heather Shaw, and wants to hunt her down, so the guy flew to the prison to free him, because he thinks he'll sort out his issue with Heather without any problems. On the ground, they are going together looking for any town. On the first night, they are attacked by Southerners, but they are rescued by some random people, placed here for the convenience of the plot. However, instead of helping, they drive them to auction as slaves. They are then rescued from this situation by a wanted criminal, Fang, with the help of money and just the right amount of violence. During the escape, Shriek suddenly appears, wants to kill Hester. Wait, how does this Asian woman and the bounty hunter know where to find her? Also, how the fuck did he travel such a distance in a couple of hours? They were going in the opposite directions to London, and the balloon with the guy didn't return until daylight, which means the prison was very far away, even for a flying machine. Doesn't matter. They barely managed to escape. It is worth noticing how quickly the speed of the equipment in these machines changes from scene to scene. Here, they calmly get on the wheel, and 1 second later, it turns into a meat grinder. I am not going to get into the workings of this incredibly advanced technology that can reanimate people and make them practically immortal. And Tom earlier was shocked about the toaster and that he discovered how to make electricity. Next, they fly to the Sky City. On the journey we learn how Hester was raised by Shriek, and she promised that she would become like him. But when she found out that London had came to the continent with Valentine on board, she ran away, breaking her promise, which is why the bounty hunter wants to get her. Meanwhile, in London, this secret stash of old technology was robbed. Another 2 random people went through a secret passage under a church, where the thing is being constructed. When they got there, they saw the first test launch of Medusa. Then London turned east, that is towards the big wall, defending the settlement and huge terrains from wandering cities. Now we have a quick argument between Valentine and Mare about ignoring the teachings of the history. Valentine says history doesn't give a crap about us, and this weapon he built is the future. Even though it was technology they had not invented themselves, but copied a 1000-year-old design. They couldn't even make components themselves, but searched all over the world for working parts. His work is the definition of learning from history, and he was only able to build it all because previously he had found working control unit. Nobody really knows how it all works. There, they finally make it to the Sky Paradise, where the gathering of anti-mobilists is happening. They want to find out what is happening in that cathedral. Suddenly they realize that Valentine has stolen the working processor controlling Medusa, which is the quantum weapon that destroyed old civilization. And the only way to disable it is with some kind of special security flash drive, because obviously a small charge or a simple short circuit won't do it. Then we have another quick fight with an immortal robot and a total massacre of the city. The solution to Shriek's situation was simple. All he had to do was see Heather's love for someone else, and he switched off. Well, that was way too easy, but so be it. Okay, now everyone goes to the wall, preparing for war. The defense sends a small fleet to destroy London's weapon in advance. Of course they fail because London turns off lights, meaning that they are preparing to fire, at the same time obviously telling the other side what they are doing. And we have the first shot. Let's look closely how this weapon is operating. There's a laser, which leaks energy sideways for some reason. And why exactly can we see the laser propagating? After all, it should be flying at the speed of light. Then there's this explosion, which instead of going outwards, pulls a lot of mass inwards. Then there's a 3-second unexplained T-break or something, and there's a second explosion that creates a normal shockwave, but in some places it continues to pull inwards. It is really weird, I cannot explain what's happening here. In the end, this shot made a small hole in the wall, so they have to use it like 3 more times. Wait, I remember. This weapon was supposed to be a technology of destruction way better than nukes. In the video earlier we saw the total annihilation of a major city in 1 shot. Irrelevant. There's a new plan. Put the flash drive in Medusa's computer. They take few small ships. Of course, only one gets through the defenses. We then see an amazing fight as the Medusa is reloading for the final shot. They have about a minute, which is stretched out twice. We have even more drama, as Hester has to type in code, and this computer needs like 5 seconds between each character. At the last second, it all works perfectly. What a surprise. Now, Valentine's new plan is to smash the wall with London. I don't know if he knows, but at the base the wall is the strongest. But I guess at this point he's just crazy. This process will probably kill the entire population of London. But it is typical that people in power are unlikely to care about citizens. They are just pursuing their own goals. whether it's war or just money. You can see that the crash will happen in a few seconds, but they have to talk for a while before they stop the machine. All ends well when Hester kills Valentine, and Tom flies into London's engine, stopping it. In the end, Easterners take the injured Londoners. Tom and Hester go on with their lives in the East. I mean, it will probably go on like this until they produce the next part.
So what happens now?
We go where the wind